Hello and welcome to the tour of the Chatsworth 115. We'll start with the outside fitments. We're starting from the vehicle point of view. Behind the passenger door you have your fuel filler, which is lockable with the vehicle key. Below it is for AdBlue. That's an additive that you will put in. The vehicle will tell you when it's needed and will count down when it starts to get low. Moving backwards, we have your gas locker. Inside the gas locker is your regulator. There's space in there for two 6 kilogram Caligas bottles, and you will need a pigtail which goes onto that regulator. Stepping back towards the lower part of the vehicle, you have a grey waste valve. Now that's grey, and that is for your waste water. That's from the water that's gone from your sink and your shower. Directly above is your mains power. Now that is mains power outlet. Should you want to use a mains power appliance underneath your awning, that's something that's been fitted for you and something that's not a standard feature normally on this vehicle. Further back we have the barbecue point, which is fitted there, and then there is just a small connector. You remove this, turn the valve in line, and then gas will come through. There's an awning fitted to the vehicle, which is a wind out awning. You will wind it out so far, and then you will drop the legs down and then continue to support it and continue to wind it. Fitted to the back of this vehicle is your bike rack. You have a bike rack which, from these brackets, you pull down from here. Your bikes sit into here, strap, use these straps to go through the wheels, and then use each of these brackets to attach onto the frame. In this area here we have your fridge vents. It's essential to leave those open should you need to, and not covered, to allow clear ventilation for any byproducts of the gas. Within here we have your toilet cassette. This toilet cassette is removed by lifting the handle and sliding out. You can continue to lift it so it's easier to roll, and slots back like so. When you're emptying, remove the cap, twist, and empty then at an LSAM point. Push this valve button and that will release any air. When you're putting chemical back in, you can either use chemical tablets, or this is a measuring jug where you can put the correct amount of fluid, whether it's blue or green, into here and then pour in to your cassette. Before you put it back, ensure that your nozzle is pushed back, then lift, ensure this blade's in the correct position, and slide in. And ensure that it's locked in beforehand. As we move to the other side of the vehicle, we have lower down, we have a blue valve, which is for a drain for your fresh water. These drain valves are operated just by twisting, open and closed, and they will say open or closed on each of them, whether it's for grey for waste or blue for fresh. Further forward then we have your shower fitting. You can fit an external shower onto the end of this. This pops up and you can fit an external shower fitting to that. And then in here we have your leisure battery, which is located to the right, and then we have your mains hookup point, which is located to the back, and then a further 240 volt outlet which is only works if you're hooked up onto mains. Further round, we then have the driver's door. The switch gear on here, we have your electric windows, your drivers and passengers, and the adjustment for your rear wing mirrors. The switch gear on the dashboard, we have your windscreen wipers on the right hand side. The top column is your indicators, and then lower is for your cruise control. 6-speed gearbox is standard. We then have these buttons, which are for your heated rear your heated wing mirrors, lock the vehicle internally or unlock the vehicle internally, your hazard lights, and then your traction control. Above, you have your heater controls along with your air conditioning, which is above it, and then your radio controls are above. Above that, we then have the screen for your reverse camera. In the cab area, we also have Remish blinds on this particular model. To operate those, pinch together and slide across. You'll notice that this is slightly hinged, and this is so you can get it around this rear view mirror. These are on a magnet, so will hold together. Ensure that before you drive off, those are pushed away and secure. Again, on the driver and the passenger windows, you've got the same. Just pinch those together and let them fall in the area that they want to. So then that locks, like so. And again, when you are putting them back, just push them gently. Push them back, they will locate, and ensure that they're located before you travel. Now on the passenger side of the vehicle, you have the same blind, but you also have your bonnet release catch, which is located here. You have these on both your driver and your passenger seat. These are for height adjustment on your driver and passenger seats. Both seats are fitted with swivel seats, and they can be swiveled by pushing that lever and then with your other hand manipulating the seat to swivel round. So to swivel this seat, we pull this lever and then bring the seat around, like so. And you've also got one on your driver's seat. Just be very careful with the one on the driver's seat. You just need to manipulate it through past your handbrake, where your handbrake is located, as with all Peugeot and Fiat vehicles, on the right hand side. So as we go inside the vehicle, the first thing that we have at the entrance door is your control panel. Your control panel is indicated with very straightforward instructions: lights, pump, tank heater, awning and water. The first thing you always want to do when entering the vehicle is turn master on, and when you're leaving the vehicle also master off, and that will protect the leisure battery and stop anything from discharging. We can operate all the light circuit by turning on and off. All of your lights are individually switched anyway, but you can separate them completely by that circuit. The next is your awning, and that's your awning light on or off. Tank heater, so this is if you've got an external water tank. You flick that on, and that will then start to gently, very gently heat the cold water. And that's just to prevent it from freezing. So it will only turn on at something around about sort of 4 or 5 degrees. Bear in mind, if you are wild camping, that is going to be taking a charge from your leisure battery, so your leisure battery is not going to last as long. Above that, you have your pump. So you can turn your pump supply on or off. And then that basically just works, just on and off. Each of your taps, which are located in your kitchen area, and then one in your bathroom area, and then the other one which is for your shower. Each of those have got their own micro switch in them, which will operate and stop accordingly, but that isolates any power to pump. Next one above with water indicates how much water we've got on board. So we've got a full tank at the moment. So if you notice, that needle is shooting all the way to the top. When we let go of that, it goes back to the middle. The reason that it's at the middle is it's also a voltmeter, and it's measuring the amount of volts that are in the leisure battery. If we turn that off, we notice that our needle shoots to the bottom. It's not measuring anything. So we flick it back up. So currently in our leisure battery, showing 12.5 volts. We're not hooked up onto mains, so that's a perfectly healthy leisure battery. So now onto your kitchen. Your kitchen units, you've got your 3-burner gas burner hob, and you've got 1 mains burner hob. Now that main supply you must have main supply if you are going to operate that. The gas is simply turned on by turning to the large flame and then pushing the igniter, which is here, holding for a few seconds and then releasing. Just ensure that if you've been operating the hob, that you don't pull this down too soon, because it will be hot. You have your sink, which is in here, with your taps, which are hot and cold taps. As you lift those, as long as the power supply is switched on, that will operate the pump, and the pump will operate from there. We have your microwave, which is above, which is mains powered, and can be operated by those controls. Inside the cupboards, we've got your full instruction manual, and then we've got your shower fitting, which is inside here. And then you have a rack for your cups in there. The oven, same principle as the hob, in respect of you have your grill one side, you have your oven the other side, you're turning it to the large flame and you're pushing to ignite. And then your oven is the same, pushing to the largest flame and pushing to ignite. If you're operating the grill, as always, leave the grill slightly open. And then you have your oven below, which is a side hinge. And then it's been cleaned and sanitised for you. Next to this, we have your fridge. Your fridge is 3-way. In this position, this is off. The next position, which is indicated by a mains power plug, it will then look for power from mains. The next position is power from 12 volts. Now 12 volt power will only work when the ignition is running. So the engine must be running and the ignition, vehicle ignition must be on. It is then taking what's called a DC feed. Well, as soon as you turn the ignition off, it will stop. So that is when you need to select either mains or gas. 12 volts very good at keeping things at a constant temperature. It's not as good as mains or gas at actually cooling those down. So it's very handy for whilst you're driving, but then cannot be operated when you're camping. The next one down is gas. Gas will work pretty much the same as mains in terms of its power that it will generate and use. To light that, you then have this valve. This is also your valve for when you're on mains or on 12 volt, and in essence basically is your temperature control of your fridge. But to light your fridge on gas, once you've selected the flame, push this lever in, which then acts as a thermocouple, and then push the silver button in to ignite. As you push that, it will click once it's gas and it will light. Once it's lit, you will then be able to see in this window, this will go to green to indicate to you that that is actually lit. If you let go of this valve too soon, keep your eye on this, because this will then go back to the white and won't be lit. Within here we have additional workspace then, and storage in each of your drawers. Inside here we've got your drain cover, and then we've got your winter covers for your fridge. If you're going to be operating the fridge below 0 degrees, there are covers there. They are specialist covers which still allow the flow of air and the release of any carbon monoxide. Then in this bottom corner we have your gas isolation valves. Now it is important that you always turn off at the gas bottle and not at these valves. These valves are there for us to test on each occasion, which is annually, to ensure that each appliance is holding its correct gas pressure. As you can see on there, they're indicated clearly by an icicle for your fridge, a pan for your hob, and a picture of an oven for your oven. Moving on to your bathroom, we have your shower facilities, your sink within there, and then your toilet at the back of the vehicle. To flush, you push this blue button, and then to release, you have this handle that you push, which then opens the contents into the cassette. You then have a shower curtain, closes around and isolates that area so you don't get the toilet wet. And then you've got a roof vent which is there. You pop this down and then it gains access to release the vent. But there is some permanent ventilation in each of the vents at all times. Around the vehicle you've got blinds and flare screens. These are just simply operated by pulling down. And they lock in from there. And then each of your windows have various locks. This operates to keep the window open, and you just tighten that up from there once it is open. Mains power sockets at the back. They again are only live when you're hooked up onto mains, and then a light switch above there. We've got USB sockets within here, which are live all of the time. Mains again, which are live only at when you're hooked up onto mains. 12 volt and TV aerial point, which is there. Moving on into your wardrobe. Inside here we've just currently stored all your carpets which have been cleaned, and then we've got your folding table. This device here is your solar panel regulator which is operating. There's nothing that you need to do with that. Basically when it's green it's charging, when it's red it's not. If it ever overheats then you will get a warning light which will be on the left hand side, but it's quite an unlikely event. And then you've got your hanging space inside there. This device is for your ultrasonics, for your alarm, for any sensing any movement in the back of the vehicle. And then you've also got your ultrasonics, which are just located there and there in the cab. Now to make the bed on here, it's very, very straightforward. Literally, you are lifting this and sliding out. And that's exactly the same for both sides. They slide together. Cushions fold down, and that's your bed, made down, as easy as that. So let's move on to your heater. So your heater is a water heater and blown air heater. We've got your device here and you've got your controls. So picture of a tap, heating your water. Picture of the vehicle with heating the air. So if we work on the top one first of all, we've got several options. So at the moment, it says off. We can select by pushing it off. We can move it to a picture of a flame where it'll try to ignite on gas. Flame and a line underneath it which is flame and 1 kilowatt, so gas and 1 kilowatt of electric if you're hooked up onto mains. And then likewise the same but with 2 lines underneath it, and that's for gas and 2 kilowatts. So it'll use a combination of the two. And that's for if you're in very cold areas and you need that extra boost that gas only itself will give you. We can then operate on mains only if we want, just 1 kilowatt of mains or 2 kilowatt of mains. And we can just cycle through that by pushing it. The little picture of the icicle will just ventilate and we'll just push some air without working the actual heater. It isn't air conditioning, but it will just circulate air within the vehicle. 1 kilowatt predominantly on mains is there for if you're on a very poor campsite supply. 2 kilowatt is what most people will use it on. And again, like I say, you will use the combination of mains and gas during the harshest of winters. You can run both at the same time, so you can have both of these switched on. But if you're also running the heating, you push, exactly the same principle. 1 kilowatt is mains, 2 kilowatt mains of 2 kilowatt, or even mains blown air of 3 kilowatt, or a choice of gas, or gas and 2 kilowatt. And to operate then your temperature, push like so, and the higher up it is, the warmer it'll be. So as we go back to the rest of the vehicle, we're going to come to your services and some essential things that you need to do when you're using the vehicle. So underneath your driver's side seat, directly under here is the drain valve, which is this yellow valve for the water boiler. You need to ensure that during the winter, if you're leaving the vehicle, that is pushed to the drain position and all the water has been drained out. And that is draining water out of your boiler, not out of the full system, just out of your boiler. So you need to also do the freshwater valve, which we shown you earlier on the outside, which is the blue device, which is on the driver's side. And then when you're closing that valve, close it to this position, and then that will enable you to refill it. On the opposite side, we have your main circuit breaker and 12-volt fuse box for the vehicle. This is for everything on the leisure side. If anything isn't working when you're hooked up onto mains, the first point to do is to check these circuit breakers. If nothing's working on the 12-volt side, then these are your 12-volt fuses. It's always handy to carry some spares. But as you can see, each of them are highlighted for each of the devices that they actually use. One simple trick, if you're hooked up onto mains and you've not got any mains power coming in, is always push that button, and that will indicate if you've got mains power coming in. If you haven't got mains power coming in, that button won't drop down. But if you have, then basically that will flick down as you push that this test button. Reset it and go from there. These valves under here and these vents are basically for your blown vents and blown air vents. They are protected inside, so they shouldn't crush too much, but it's not at the end of the day if it does crush. So, as we get to the end of the tour, just going towards the front again, we have your big roof light, which opens by winding like so. And then that opens. Really only use that when you're camping and not whilst you're travelling. And from that area you have a blind that comes from the bottom, and then also behind it is a fly screen that comes from below. Storage in your cupboards like so, and then we also have fitted at the back a power vent. This is fantastic for giving extra circulation. Turn on and you have either pulling air in or pushing air out, and the more you push that, the faster the fan will go. So it can either extract or pull air in. So that's it for the tour. We hope from behalf on everyone at Emm Bee Motorhomes that you enjoy this video, and that you enjoy, more importantly, your motorhome and the many adventures that you're going to have with it. Thanks again.